Live from the Real Guppy Dockside Learning and Multimedia Center. It's the Real Angler Podcast with community Kevin Brannon. Brought to you by AFTCO Fishing Apparel and Tackle, designed to perform. Channel Island Sport Fishing, offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats, and more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. And now, here's your host, community Kevin Brannon. Today's guest, Ana Santiago, chef and founder of Santiago and Company Catering.
Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're at. It's Community Kev with Real Anglers Fishing Show, Real Guppy Outdoors, Real Angler Network. Today we're on Real Radio, talking with somebody that I met recently at the Chamber of Commerce Expo, Ana Santiago, and she was doing some magnificent things with food, and I'm a foodie. You know, I'm the Dizzle with the Sizzle, the Ghetto Gourmet out of the Crawdad Cafe, and we got to talking, and I thought she had a cool story, and on the Real Radio, I like to tell stories and highlight other people's businesses, especially locally, and as well as a lot of people that are in our Chamber of Commerce networks, because again, we're all out here networking together. And what does Adam Casillas say, Scotty?
If you're not working unless you're networking.
Right. If you're not networking, you're not working. So if we could utilize our platform and stage to again continue to do collaborative efforts, that's what we love to do. So we invited Ana in today. This is Barry, Ana. Because I'm a California bear. Yeah, I'm a California bear. There's bears hidden all over here. If you don't know, California is my state. It's the state animal. So this is Barry. I got him in Sacramento at a fishing expo. At I think Redwood, and I bought him, and he's official mascot for the podcast. So here we go. All right, Ana. Well,
thanks for having me.
Man, our pleasure. Let's see, where do we start here today? Let's see. I see you have globally inspired California grown as one of your tags that you have on your website that I checked out. What is that about? Or tell people who you are. Jump in wherever you like, but let's just get to your business and stuff like that. But we got about 30, 35, 40 minutes, so we'll cover a few topics, wherever you want to start with, if whatever you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I'm Ana Santiago, the founder and chef of Santiago and Company. Chef and founder. Okay. Santiago and Company is just kind of an homage to my last name of how I have kind of evolved over the years. It was originally going to be my maiden name, which is Reimer. It's supposed to be an homage to my dad, but I've changed so much since then. I went with Santiago and Company Catering. I launched the company last year, and I've been a professional chef for 12 years.
Wow. Did you go to culinary school for that? Is your background in chefing? Like, did you do that part, or is it just something you just started your own flavors and everything?
Yeah, I got into the restaurant industry when I was age 19. I started off as a server. And I feel like you either go one way or the other. And I stayed in the industry, and I'm originally from the Bay Area.
Oh, yeah, I did read that. Do you go hyphy? You from that era? You from the hyphy era?
I'm a retired hyphier.
What? We go dumb in here too.
Bay Area, born and raised, and I moved here 10 years ago. And during that time, I was already in the industry looking for a culinary school at the time. I started working at a mall job. It was like a little like revolving sushi restaurant, and I started off as front of the house, and they allowed me to go back into the kitchen, and from there I worked there for about 8 months, and then the business shut down. And so I'm like, okay, what do I do? During that time, I was able to find a culinary school, Los Angeles Mission College in Silmar, and during that time of my enrollment, I get a call from a friend from that old job, the revolving sushi job, and asked me, hey, do you want to work at this restaurant in Malibu?
Which restaurant? Which restaurant?
Nobu Malibu.
Okay. I used to work at Neptune's Net. That's all.
Oh, nice. Asking, yeah. PCH, love that area.
Yeah.
Great time. And so I started working there. As soon as I entered.
Is that where all the celebrities go? The Nobu? Is that the one where you got to wait a minute to get served and all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great restaurant. It's right on the water, beautiful, and it was stunning.
Do you know if it burned in the fire?
It did not.
Oh,
it did not burn.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
It's one of the few that did not burn.
I haven't took the PCH yet. I'm gonna do it next week when I go to the airport, but I haven't been down there yet to check.
Yeah, I haven't been there since the fires. I wasn't sure if anyone was allowed there, but
Oh, it's open now.
Oh, it's open. Okay. Let's see.
So you got the job. So I didn't mean to cut you off. Just
yeah.
asking.
So I got the job, and I got a position as a sushi chef cook or sushi line cook.
You throw down on the sushi because I'm going yellowtail fishing next week, so maybe we can.
Yes, I can make sushi. I'm not like level 10 sushi chef.
No, hey, we make so again.
You can go look at some of my work.
What I'm called the ghetto gourmet, right, is because I could create things from where we lived growing up in the projects and stuff. You know what we had. So we were making these hot Cheeto ones, we called it, because we had so much. I think yellowfin I caught or yellowtail. And we were making these sushi rolls and we are putting hot Cheetos and stuff in there just to get creative. Like you just have so much fish. So whatever you could do to be creative, people at home, you don't have to be a pro to give it a try, right?
Yeah, and like a little bit of backstory of me coming from the Bay Area. I also grew in like ghetto area. I grew up in Oakland.
Oh, what's up?
Until about the age of 11, and then
She's from the town.
510. Yeah, and then I moved to East Bay, like San Pablo area, which is very close to Richmond. So got a lot of the culture, ghetto culture, I guess, you know. And it has shaped me who I am today.
Good.
But also like the food scene and.
Hold on just one sec. Scott, we see if I left the keys in the door just because I closed the door. Go ahead. So you were in the food scene?
Yeah, food scene.
Oh, I got them. Sorry about that. I mean to keep throwing us off.
Lots of international influences with food. So
do you have a favorite? Is there one like that?
Well, most of my restaurant career is like Asian based. I worked at a lot of Asian restaurants. I worked at Nobu, I worked at Midori, I worked at Octopus. These are all like chain restaurants, popular in the Valley. But then I've also worked like American that had Asian influences. So most of my stuff is Asian influence, hence the yuzu kosho.
Look, she made me some tartar sauce, man. She walked in with gifts. That's what's up.
Yuzu kosho. So that's where the tagline comes from, globally inspired, is that California is a huge mesh pot with, you know, all these different cultures. And I kind of take my experience of that and mix it into whatever we have available.
I remember I hung it at your table for a minute because I think I was dieting then too. So you had chocolate covered strawberries?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So I had like 2 because I was in it, but the other stuff you had, I was just grubbing it. And I was talking to you and I was like, this is so good. You can just... So I cook on a boat too. And I was telling the guys on the boat the other day, because I always come, man, your food's so good. It's just a regular sport fishing boat, right? But I tell them it's like a food. I'm a big, again, part of I was telling you about my filming. I used to love watching PBS to watch the cooking shows too.
Same.
So Graham Kerr, the Cajun dude. Wow, look at that flavor right there. I forgot his name. Don DeLuise, was it? And then you had Julia Childs. And then I love watching Emerald, you know, and he always talked about these levels of flavor. So when I cook, we flavor, season, flavor it up. Like I take my onions and I grill them and I put butter on them and I let them simmer. I hit them with water. And guys are like, you really create, again, in the little kitchen. That's why I say it's a ghetto gourmet. But the infusion of the food with flavors and getting creative and doing it, man, I love it, man. So
yeah, it's a great.
Yours felt like when I was eating your food, like the flavors were just.
It's a great artistic outlet for me. Like I grew up around a lot of art. Like my grandfather was an artist. My dad, you know, he's super creative. And when I got into cooking, it's just like a huge creative outlet for me.
Yeah.
We're been a music family. We've drawn, painted, all the things.
What's your nationality?
My mom is an immigrant from the islands of Tonga, Friendly Islands of Tonga. Not sure if you know where that's at. It's a cluster of islands under Australia. So she immigrated here at the age of 25 in 1983. And then my dad's white, American, German, Irish descent.
Yeah, I'm mixed too. I'm black, white, and Portuguese. So I got like these flavors, I think. And I say I could break dance, I could mosh pit, you know. I like Celtic music, you know. So I have these different influences in Portuguese. Like I have these different cultural things that I feel like that help out too, you know, when you have the different influences and tradition and cultural side. I'm sure it plays a neat part in that too, you know.
Yeah, I grew up pretty close in the Tongan culture, just because my mom's family was always around in the Bay Area. I didn't grow up super close to my dad's family because they were always in like Arizona and Vegas and stuff. But I grew up going to, my grandfather's church, Tongan Methodist, growing up speaking the language. My grandparents took care of us. They didn't speak English. So we had a great opportunity to learn the language. Kind of losing it now because I don't have anyone to speak to. But my older sister and I'm one of 4 girls. We grew up speaking to my grandparents and, being able to communicate with them and stuff. So that's been, a special part of my, childhood and my life growing up is this gift that we were able to receive from my grandparents and my mom's culture.
That's cool, man. So do you have children?
I do. I have 3 children. I have a daughter. She's 10. I have a son that's 6, and I have a very crazy, rambunctious 2-year-old boy.
Yeah. I think the terrible 3s are worse than the terrible 2s because they know what you're saying at 3 and they still do it. 2, they're kind of learning. By 3, they're like, what
they're
I
just
just
doing
said.
It on purpose now.
Yeah. So I think the terrible 3s. The reason I asked that is like passing down traditional things. So interesting. Like I don't know much of my dad's side of the family. They grew up in the Bay Area, so I have influence up in the Bay. I've been to his grave a couple times. Where he's buried at. Never met him. He got out of prison when I was 6 and he overdosed on heroin, like before I got a chance to go up there and meet him. So I don't know a lot of that side. And then our white, but my mom swears she was black, so we got a lot of that kind of culture. And then plus our Irish side. So I didn't get a lot of influence, same on one side of the family as I did on the other side. But yeah, we have some Bay Area roots. I was asking if going hyphy and the stuff like that. I feel like I'm drawn. Even though I'm a SoCal kid, every time I go up there, it always feels like home for some reason, right? I have like this type of connection. And my grandma on my dad's side was Native American and black, and she was a beauty pageant and musician and actress because I'm an artistic guy. Like we put the STEAM, the term STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, where they added the A for. We either say angler for fishing or art, but that's how I wrote that down, is to talk about, the artistic side and how people can have a career in art. Culinary is an art still, So you say you have all this art influence, it makes sense, and I think it's something that we like to talk about and highlight. That's why I wanted to also have you as a guest, so people know that you can make a real career being a chef or a cook and doing the things you love to do. So let's get back to it. I know sometimes I'm throwing curveballs out of the side. So you're working down there as sous chef and fast other restaurants. And then where did it take you? When did you kind of start thinking about, doing your thing?
So 2014, I got pregnant with my daughter, or 2013. And I was basically let go from Nobu during my leave.
Wow.
And I chose not to sue them at the time, and I never did, but I should have. But I just kind of figured, like, in the industry, like, I wanted to go back, and I loved the restaurant, and I just had this idea that, these people were still my family, and turns out it was not the case. But that was a catalyst to propel me to finish culinary school, because remember at the time when I first started Nobu, I had just started culinary school, and so I was trying to balance working full-time in the industry, going to school full-time. It's just almost impossible. And then I got a second job. I was working 7 days a week. So the other place that I worked at was Calamigos Ranch in Malibu. I did high-end weddings there. I was front of the house doing, service and captaining and stuff. But when I got fired from Nobu, I made a promise to myself that I would go back to school full-time, and I would not work in the industry until I finished school. So
how long was that?
How long was
that when you take that decision, like to go through school? How long were you away from the food industry doing your schooling? A year, 2 years?
So I went back to school full time,
and
then I got grabbed into private chef work. I couldn't stay away from work.
Okay.
So from there is when I started meeting private chefs that were open a whole new world to me. Way different from the restaurant industry, going into people's beautiful homes in LA and all these high-end events. So I started doing that part-time, and I was able to finish school. And then shortly after, I got married. So I did my externship at 2 restaurants. And again, I found myself just working the grind and no pay and not moving up into positions that I wanted to. So I took a break, planned my wedding, got married. Then I got pregnant after with my second, and took a little break, and then eventually met more chefs, started getting back into the industry again. Pandemic hit. By then I was working for some of the Rams players. I was doing some meal prep. I
That's cool.
worked with Andrew Whitworth. I did maybe like close to a year with him.
Is that the lineman, right? The big fella?
Yeah. He's retired already.
Yeah, he seems real cool. I watch him some of his
super
interviews.
nice. They're from the South. His whole family is nicest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
So the pandemic hit. I stopped working with Andrew and kind of just took a break, met more private chefs, did more events, and it's just kind of like this catapult that propelled me to want to start my own business, because I'm working with all these private chefs. I'm doing their events for them, and I'm seeing the potential that I could invest into myself. So
hear that? I'll just pause right there. Invest in yourself.
Yes.
That's gold right there. Invest in yourself. We talk a lot about, so it's not like we're talking about networking, meeting people, getting the influence, learning. And the reason I say that, and you could hear her story, is, when you're going to chase your dream and do what you love, these things are going to happen. Life's going to happen, but you just keep moving, right? You just grind it out. You got married, had a couple kids, and you just kept moving. And,
so I had major blocks coming my way the whole time, and still do. So I'm trying to find like my way as a chef and get into the industry. I'm working all these events, and then I have to balance kids. And then in 2021, my mom had a major stroke. And my sister and I took that into our own hands of healing her. I did all her meal prep. I was in control of all of that. But it was just another obstacle for me to, try to balance work, balance kids, balance, taking care of my mom, who was, newly injured, and all these things. And I did not let that get in my way. I still continued, and it was a very slow progress. I feel like the last 5 to 7 years has been just this freight train that has built up to where I am now. And it's really scary to try to start something on your own, because kind of like the industry that I work in, there's a lot of gatekeepers. If you have a great worker,
I know
you want to keep that worker. So if I have any questions about business, I'm not going to get a lot of answers, because no one wants to let go of this great team they have. So I found myself asking a lot of questions, not getting a lot of answers. And so I just started diving into a lot of research, and I took the leap of just going to a network event last year. Never been networking. And I was supposed to go with a friend of mine to this huge networking event that was happening at Zachary Dunes with a really big event planner. Her name is Sophie. And my friend ended up flaking on me. And I'm nervous, because I'm this is my first networking event. And what do I say? What do I do? What do I bring? All the things. And so I decided to do a little bit of research. How do I network? What do I say? Blah, 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 all the things. And I ended up going by myself. I'm you know what? I'm not going to let this stop me, my little partner. And that ended up being the best decision ever, in my opinion, because I now like to go to networking events alone, because it pushes you to get out of your comfort zone, talk to people who you would never talk to, and just not be distracted by, a partner in crime that you may arrive with. So
just show up, man. I know Eric Thomas, one of the guys we talk about, the hip hop preacher, there's 75% of it is just showing up, maybe you just showed up, that's
yeah. And it was one of the best events that I've ever been to. It was phenomenal. Amazing vendors there, but just meeting other people in the industry who I'm now connected with. So if I ever have any questions, or if anyone's looking for, things that have to do with events that have to do with me, that one event. So every time I do a networking event, I always say, if I can take away just one thing, it was worthwhile to me.
That's cool you say that, because people hit me up, because I do a lot of networking. Like I said, if you're not networking, you're not working. So this event we're going to next week, over 550 vendors. I got the email today because they're like, if anybody shows up that doesn't have their badge on, don't try not to do work with them because we don't want people. They call it suitcasing networking. Anyway, over 550 vendors are partners in this fishing industry, man. And we're just going to go out there. We're bringing the whole team this year. But I've been out there a few times by myself. Just me and my camera, man. I got this little camera and got my media badge and went out there. And then a couple years ago, one of our people that are on the board, he's like, can you afford to go out there? I'm like, we can't afford not to, man. We got to go. Even if it's just for a couple of days. Like, you can't let this, and you got to stay relevant. You got to know, they got to know who you are. So you can't just like pop up in and out, and what I was going to say to that part about the networking is that people ask us, hey, Kev, man, I see you doing all that. Does it pay off? It's like, depends on what you mean by paying off. If you think because you give out 100 cards, you're going to get 100 calls tomorrow, that's not it. You got to follow up.
Yeah.
You got to do these other parts, but just
that's
showing
the easy
up
part.
Yeah.
The hard part is following up and creating these relationships with people, because when I've gone to networking events, you have great conversations with people and then you walk out the door and you forget everything.
And who'd you get a call from? Us. Community Kev. Because again, I don't know. I just feel like me, I do have this personality where I do go out and mingle, but I remember I was on the board of Chamber of Commerce in Port Hueneme, and we did our first tabling event with the Ventura Chamber, and we were over at the Sheraton, and I don't know, I was like, I could do this, I stand on the outside of the booth and talk to people, and it was just like, it was like a switch went off, you know what I mean? Like, this is all you right here. So I know I'm a little, I know I'm definitely outgoing. I'm more of an exception, not the rule. Yeah. But when I go around and talk to people, sometimes, success for us can be when I get to talk to another entrepreneur and be like, because they come to me now, like, I see everything you're doing. Can you give me 5 minutes? Because like you said, I've been on the other side of that where people don't want to help. You know what I mean? They want to suppress you and keep it to themselves, where I feel like God's got me in a position to help, to be a servant, right? And help develop other entrepreneurs and stuff. Because I've been on the other side where I don't feel like I got, the love. It was like, oh no, am I intimidating? Am I challenging you? You don't want to open the door for me or help me out. So when I was talking to you and talking to certain people, and I kept your card, was you can just kind of pick up a vibe, I think, from people that are really doing their thing. And I thought you were, like I said, talking to you. And that's why I taught your card. And then and then I come home and I go through our cards. You have a database there. I'm sure you probably get this little basket here. We put our cards in there. You can see those ones are wrapped up. Leslie puts them in there. So you should be getting our newsletter, but we have a strategy on it, and people that I think get on my pile, like, give me the card back so I can reach out to them. And there's people that are just like, we met and just put them in the database. And you're one of those people that just seem like,
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That just got the vibe when we were talking. And then again, being a chef, I'm a self-proclaimed chef. Like I worked at Neptune's Net. I've been a baker. I worked at the Port Hueneme Pier. I started cooking there. I make the ooey gooeyest cheeseburger that people love. We have a spice sponsor called Spicetopia. My tag was like, do your taste buds a favor and play with your food, like just to get people to try cooking. And a lot of seafood, because sometimes people pay for seafood when they go out, like at a restaurant. They won't purchase it at the store and bring it home and cook it. So kind of showcasing that, but not only just fishing, because we don't want to be just a fishing demographic, but how can we showcase, Southern California, people grilling and chilling at their place. Or again, if you need a meal prep, or you're looking for somebody for, like you have here, that you do cooking classes and you do private events and weddings, right? That there are these other resources, the people that they could support. And I feel like people like to support, people that are coming up, So like your cooking classes, like what made you want to get into offering cooking classes?
So I got into cooking classes. Oh yeah. Okay. So I got into cooking classes because a friend of mine had a teenage daughter that was interested in cooking, and she needed an elective for high school. So I started teaching this 14-year-old girl. And mind you, when I was 18, I used to work with kids. I used to work at a community like summer camp, and I used to work at a rec center and after school program and stuff. And I always had this thing, like, kids were drawn towards me. But I would never like act on it, I guess, to my true potential. But I for some reason I just fell into teaching, decorating cookies and my teenage student, and kind of just went from there. I had other people asking me, friends, like, oh, you do this? And I would offer like little, fresh pasta classes and cookie decorating. And with this, the girl in particular, the teenager, I mean, we covered everything. We did baking, we did steak cookery, vegetable cooking, all the things. And so I feel like I have this gift to share with kids, not just kids, adults too. Willing to do, but kids in particular have this light and energy, and they're absorbent, and I feel like they need mentors, and I am ready and willing to like give that gift. So that's why I offer these, because it's not all the time that people get to experience, a cool cooking class,
Yeah. Cool cooking class. So that's kind of what I was talking to you about over there when I was like, when you do what you love and you love what you do, like taking kids fishing. Like I'm a documentary filmmaker that does a fishing show, and the kids are gravitating towards the energy that I have. And that's why we started doing it. And I was telling you, like, you're a cook. So exactly what I was telling you over there, like you're able to use the gift that you got to share that with other people,
Mm-hmm.
that are interested in it. And I think that's important. I was writing down here, like, we're always looking for guest speakers here too. So we might have to call you back to talk to because again, telling your story, but it would be in front of the youth and their family, a family engagement type. Then I wrote down like career day, because I went to a career day at a school the other day. A couple of years I've been there, they called me back. And I don't know if it was really a career day. I feel like people are there for their job, where people that have like their careers that they love doing, like putting that little networking group together, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like of specialists that do it. So people could see like, I can make a living doing what I love to do versus, oh yeah, I'm a mechanic over here at this garage. Well, what if I want the guy that owns the garage to come in and kind of tell them like, this is my career pathway. And this is like the bigger aspect of it. So I got you down here for you to come in and talk, but that's cool, man. Have you thought about, would you consider doing that in the school setting if they were to have you come in? Like let's say, because the reason I'm saying that, I know that there's funding in schools for after school programs and development and learning, and it might be somewhere we can help you network in that department too, to do like after school teaching and showcasing it for they're putting in STEAM for art, they got to open up the door for us to get in there and teach these kids that are artistic as another form of art, and they need people like us to.
Yeah, that's something I'm definitely open to doing. When I was in culinary school, we had a relationship with a local high school that had this huge garden program. And what they would do is grow all the things, harvest, and they would have like little cooking classes. So that's always something that has sparked my interest, is, having something like that.
Where was that at?
Somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I'm still taking notes, so that way I can think about ways my gears start spinning off later that we could collab. Because I think collaboration is a word that we use. Well, let me say, I think it's very important. That's why we use that word a lot here. Like I just got off the phone with OPEC. You know what OPEC is? Oxnard Performing Arts Center.
Mm.
So we have a little boat. We're going to do a little floating. It's a laboratory / fishing vessel. We did safaris over the weekend where we took the families through the harbor and looked at different sea life. But I thought, wouldn't it be cool if your photographers and your artists would like to come and take pictures or paint or draw what they see in the harbor, sea lions and birds or big houses, sailboats, sunsets, but a collaborative effort. So even the musicians that you guys work with could take their composed music and drop it in the background, kind of like that video I was showing you of us underwater, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a good way for us to collaborate with schools and high schools and, finding out what they love to do. And then how do we surround them with that support team to show that it is possible, So the worm catching the fish means nothing's impossible, because normally the fish eats the worm, right? Yeah. So against my story, against all odds, that's what that symbolizes, that nothing's impossible. And so if we were to really, like, when they talk about empowering and giving them those things, I think mentorship, development, but also people that are like what you love to do. So when you're walking in, me and Scotty were in that heavy debate because we were talking about being a pest control. The company that we worked for is really corporate now. But when you come on to work there, they make you watch this video of the history of the company and what their heart was in when he started that program, or he started that company before bureaucracy took over, and it's all about numbers, right? So you have these passionate individuals in the other company I worked for, and then that way you could serve from that point. But just how do you show people that you could really make a living doing what you love to do and having that same thing before you just have to get a regular 8 to 5 grinding job, right? Let's really expose them. And when you're talking about those kids that I just think their imagination is still there. Nobody's clipped their wings yet. They're still ready to butterfly, right? Oh, I could do this. And this seems so cool. And then somebody comes along, you can't do that. Or that's not how you make a living. And that's why we got to be the ones that are kind of help keep that imagination. Or even if they're older, like I said, for people listening to be like, I've been waiting to start what I'd love to do. My mom said I shouldn't, or I didn't have the resources, or I didn't feel like I could get it done. And they're at a point now where they're like, I'm ready to try this, like you had to do, right? So again,
Yeah.
we could spark that inspiration, man, whether it's the kids or the adults.
Yeah.
So what else you got going on over here? Let's see. Private events, appetizer service. I'm looking at she brought me tartar sauce, man. So again, we talked about, I know the art part, your story of cooking. You went through culinary school. So again, if you are listening, there are these schools and there are these places for you to learn, what you want your craft to be. And you got to be willing, I think, to really dive into your craft, right? Like you did a lot of work. You went to school, you worked in restaurants, you took, when I was filming, I had to film weddings and stuff, myself, to just try to get some projects done, but you got to invest that time into your craft. What would you say to that part?
Yeah. Lots and lots of investments. I've spent countless hours of research and just, anything that has to do with my craft, I'm watching, reading, listening. I've done tons of volunteer work with anything that had to do with my craft. I've done food and wine events, fundraisers, food kitchens, all the things. And I'm still doing that. And it never ends. It never ends. You have to keep investing, keep growing, keep evolving, not involving. But yeah, I don't know. That's.
And I think that's the part about like art is that you get to tinker a lot, right? Like you get to try flavors and you get to, or cooking, like whatever your art is, like it's like an imagination job, right? Like, what if I take this and I combined it with that to see what flavors we get, Yeah. And then if it don't turn out right, you maybe just add some hot sauce and tear it down, but at least you get a chance to like continue to play with it, like using your brain, your motor skills, and kind of just getting in there and getting hands on and giving it a try. I like also cooking. I like to watch people eat my food. Like I like breaking bread and watch people sit around and enjoy the food. You get a kick out of like watch when you put it on the table and watch people enjoying your.
Yeah, I think that's one of the major things. Like as a chef, like you're kind of like waiting to see people's reactions, and you want people to enjoy food. Like that's why I do what I do, is because I want to make people happy.
Got to make them happy. Nothing makes you happy like food. And a lot of times you got to please the eyes first. So look. So these are my ooey gooey delicious burgers right there. Again, it's just something simple on the boat, but I really take time in flavoring the flavor, making sure the cheese is really leaning over the side. This was a little sushi platter I made the other night. Somebody gave me a little piece of their yellowtail. Sashimi that up right there. But when people come in and they eat that's some else I know. I've been eating a lot of fish with some tartar, so thanks for bringing it in. That's what I made the other day. So I grew some of my own herbs outside, so I had to grill this white fish. And so there's my cutting board, see? Royal Angler's Fishing Show. You can't see it there, but it does say play with your food under the bottom. Crawdad Cafe. So in my mind, I am, a type of chef. And but the importance, look at that thing. So people see that and they're like, gooey. Oh my God, that looks so good. And then getting their feedback that it actually, for me, working on the boat, it helps with my tips too. People are like, man. And then, so what I do, they have a microphone on the boat. So I actually call it out. Number 7, your delicious sunrise surprise breakfast burritos ready in the galley. And then I get to the lunchtime. It's like your ooey gooey delicious cheeseburgers ready in the galley. People come in and be like, "What's that? What is that?" Right? And then at first the captain thought it was funny. And then when I show up now, because I'm just a relief cook, to give the person the day off, he's like, "You brought the ooey gooeys, Kev? You brought the ooey gooeys?" And then when I come through the little tackle shop to get to the boat, people are already in line like, "Oh, you're here today. Put me down for one of those ooey gooeys." So I like labeled it because here's what I want to do. I'm gonna lay it on you right here, okay? So you guys heard it today. You might have said it in another podcast. I want to open up my own little cafe in a couple years, but like just breakfast and lunch, making like tuna melts and breakfast, like simple stuff. I used to make like a tuna melt, a chipotle tuna melt, where you put chipotle sauce in there with the onions and I learned this at the guy who was making one when I was working at Neptune's Net. He make it for the owner. It wasn't on the menu. I thought, what about if you put some chipotle in there and give it a heck, and then you have 2 types of cheese, and then you have it on the bread, and it just, when you stretch it, it just is like, oh, with some steak fries. So I kind of have these ideas. So I'm already marinated. When the time I open up my thing and I say we're serving breakfast and lunch and ooey gooey burgers, I already have a clientele coming in just for my burgers, know? So I want to do that. It's going to be called the Crawdad Cafe. It'll open from like 6 to 1, 6 to 2, like a midday diner.
That'd be amazing.
Tell everybody about the appetizer thing. I thought that was pretty cool.
So I offer appetizer service, and it's very straightforward. It's basically, it's kind of geared towards events where you still want to get up and mingle and talk to people and you don't have to sit down and use a fork and knife and, you know, cute food that you can just walk around.
Scotty, what you're saying is for next year's open house, we need to have her here.
Kinda
All
what I
right.
was saying.
That's what I think. All right. We need
Handheld foods.
We're going to put you down to see what we can do about having you here
Give
for.
us some examples of the handheld food.
I know I had an example. Again, I can't remember everything, but I remember I hung out at her booth a couple times eating her appetizers.
So he tried, that day I had little mini tostadas with black beans and charred, like a charred corn salsa. And it had a roasted poblano sauce. I think the poblano sauce is what really made it.
I'm a sauce lover. I love
I'm a sauce girl too. So
hella saucy, real ragu-y.
little sliders, little skewers. I do like little tostadas, and I do like little cucumber bites. Like this one, this is an appetizer service that I did. It's this is a English cucumber with Dungeness crab. This was a high-end menu. And then this is a trout toast, smoked trout toast. I just processed that with creme fraiche and, you know, fresh herbs and a curtido, the pickled cabbage that you usually get for
anybody else drilling over here?
Yeah.
And then in the back, I made my house-made bao buns that I turned into hamburger buns, and then just made like a little truffle mayo with sharp cheddar.
Was there one place in particular that like really where you learned, you think, the most as far as, you know, your creativity or chef? Is there one where you were just like, where you had free creativity to, like, again, you said this smoked trout thing, like, where you to come up with these ideas, or is there somewhere where you just got to just take the gloves off and give it all a try?
I kind of feel like every restaurant that I worked at, I kind of like handpicked things that I liked and then tried to make it my own. So one of the restaurants that I worked at did have a trout toast. We used to make a homemade like sour bread, freshly grilled, and we'd have like trout on the side with like pickled mustard. It was different, but I took that concept and made it into my own. And then same thing with the bao buns. Nobu does like a bao bun burger too. And
Mama, if you can hear that, I'm like, what's he doing?
And so, yeah, I just kind of take like things that I like and influences that I've had, and I, you know, grab them here and there and see what I have available and turn it into my own.
That's why I call myself the ghetto gourmet. I'm like, how do I take these noodles that we have and this mayonnaise and make it into something that was, you know, again, I would get creative when we were younger. And then when I start to work in the kitchen, like leveling the flavors of, you know, seasoning up the onion and giving it just a little bit more and sweating them out. But again, I learned some of that watching just on TV and thinking, okay, I mean, here's my shot to give it a try. And then as a baker, you know, making different types of bread and fusing them together, you know, for different type of sandwiches and different, you know. So like the other day I made this a fish sandwich on the boat, and I made like it was a wasabi tartar sauce on a rye bread, and I took butter up one side, you know, so that way, and I don't crust them too long because I don't want to rip off the top of your mouth, you know.
Yes.
So I try to make sure that I don't overcook the bread, so it's like a crouton that you're trying to chew through, you know, and layer it in there, and then I peel the lettuce so that's not like chopped up like I do the sandwich, you know what I mean, and then lay it on there with the pickle. And
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, we'll have to have a cook-off together, man. We'll have to.
That's no.
Hold on. Let's bring down the gallon. Hold on. Challenge accepted.
Wait. No.
Yeah, but that's awesome, man. That's really like, again, and the reason that I'm saying this is because I think it's so like creativity and having fun and learning things and then adding your own flavor to them is how life should be. You know, whatever we're doing, reverse engineer things. Just because it's always been done a certain way doesn't mean that you can't modify it to try it a new way. And stuff like that. So let's run through these couple more things that I see here in front of us. So you're based locally here. Were you in Simi Valley? Is that where you're?
I'm based out of Simi Valley.
Simi Valley. So you cover that because you're kind of in proximity. You can go to LA, you can go on the 5, you can come to Ventura County. Santa Barbara's not that far.
Yeah.
In this area,
exactly.
definitely, I'm sure in this industry, you know, with that demographic that, you know, like you got here, private events and weddings and stuff, there's enough. You know, that's one thing about driving on PCH. You get to see like all those nice houses and mansions and the California dream, and then Sam in Santa Barbara. So I'm sure you got like an opportunity to really, it's kind of like what that's with pest control. It's not the same, but it's like we got to furnish these houses because it was something that they had. So I've had exposure in looking at these incredible palaces and then be like, what do you guys do? And talk to them and get some feedback from them. But we have an area around here where they could do that, right? Where you get a chance to really mingle down into the boo, or, you know, in that area. Does that you spend when you were doing your private chefing and going down there, was that where you got a lot of activity?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I've done events all over, and I wish I had a documentary of all these crazy houses
I
that
know a
I've been
documentary
into.
filmmaker.
I mean, we can't go back in time now, but
Yeah.
I've been in the most incredible homes. But I've been everywhere: Malibu, Santa Barbara, uh, L.A. area, Brentwood area,
Is there anything?
Encino, Tarzana. There's beautiful houses everywhere.
Do you ever have that moment where you're like, like for me, I was just saying this about my dream the other day. Like, I'm really here. Like, do you ever have those moments to be like, and I put that in this video, like, you never know where your dream can take you.
Yeah.
I was in DC at the beginning of last month in Sacramento, all for my dream. You know, do you ever have that moment where you kind of just talk to yourself and be like, wow, look where this thing is taking me?
Yeah. So when I've worked with friends and stuff, I can't say who because I signed an NDA, but pretty popular celebrity who lives in Malibu. Just walking into their home, like, how did I get here? Literally, how did I get here? It's not impossible. It's just, for me, it's like setting up your ducks, doing the work, doing your due diligence, networking, creating relationships with people, and these things will fall into your lap. They will literally fall into your lap.
You hear us say it all the time right here. Again, the philosophy is simple, folks. It really is. It's really, but again, going back, it doesn't just happen overnight. But the philosophy to follow is simple, no matter if you're going to follow it or not, you know. But again, she said at the beginning, investing into herself, investing into her craft, hours that she did, worked a regular job. Like I was working as an exterminator, going to school to be a filmmaker at night, you know, and taking weekend gigs and shooting and filming whatever I could. So that's part of it. And then one day you're going to walk into somewhere and be like, how did I get here? It's because of those, like you say, if you could document it. I do a lot of documenting because I'm a filmmaker. So like the film that we're watching, like I have some students that are graduating our program and graduating high school that are leaving. And I was telling my consultant today and Scotty, like, my babies are leaving. Like, it's a trip to what? And it's like, how did I get in a position where people trust their kids and their students with us as a developmental program and watching them leave and go into college and going into their future? And it's like, because I forgot I put all those years in to developing myself to be of this service, man. So
yeah,
I want you guys to listen up. All right. So we got private events and weddings, appetizer service, cooking classes, Santiago and Company Catering out of Simi Valley, California, Anna Santiago. Again, I'm telling you, I hung out at her booth, ate some of her food, what I could on my kind of my strict diet, and then heard her story and talking to her. And then we reached out to invite her to come in because I thought you guys should hear her story as well. And again, I think I got enough notes down here to where we can, I can, you know, perhaps share some of our resources that we have, open house, and then the networking thing, man. And then again, we'll reach out to you to see about maybe coming in and talking to our students. We try to have a presenter like every month to come in just again tell their story. If you want to bring in grub and let them try it out, and then if we start to move forward in it, I mean, again, that could cross into some of the school stuff that we do because I know they're always looking for local vendors and this new way of looking at people having other jobs besides just a regular 8 to 5 to really go after career-driven pathways. You know, and I think that you seem like a resource with your story and your passion that you fit. She could be a guppy.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to shout out your website or anything else where they can get a hold of you before we head off?
So my website is santiagoandcompanycatering.org. I'm on Instagram at Santiago and Company, Facebook Santiago and Company, and yeah, you can get most of the information on the website.
Yeah. So again, if you need just some appetizers to eat while you're hanging out, or you wanted to you got a gala that you needed to do a bigger event, she could cover it all, man. Again, in local and a great story. And again, that's what we like to highlight here on Real Radio. But yeah, it's 12 o'clock. I got to jump into a Zoom call because I still run a nonprofit. So there's a coffee. It's called Coffee Connections with Cal Lutheran. So I get to hear from other, what are they called? Philanthropists on a way for us to try to submit it. But again, let's say, again, this is how you network. There's somebody that might love food or they might love culinary or something that wants to donate funding. And we're like, okay, well, we could put together a class where that donor gets a chance to meet somebody like yourself. And it's a way for us to all build bridges and build community together.
Yeah,
so,
I love that.
Yeah, that's why we say we don't just take kids fishing people, because again, there's so much more about discovery and exploring out here for this world for people to see and experience, and that's what we try to bring to them. It's called edutainment. Have you heard that term, edutainment? Educational entertainment?
No, but
that's what. So when you do your little classes right here, little cooking class, call it little edutainment, educational and entertainment at the same time. All right, that's gonna do it. I'm always late, so I'll be in this meeting a few minutes behind. Hey, thank you so much for this. I couldn't stop staring at it. Honestly, I'm already thinking about waste. Because even when I catch the fish and I'm putting them on the boat, I tell them I can't wait to lather it up with tartar sauce when I get home. Because I'll just fry a pile of fish. I don't even need any sides. Just give me hot sauce and tartar sauce.
Yeah, same.
And lemon. And I'm just smacking on it. So thank you.
You're
You
welcome.
hit the mark.
Thank
really
you.
did. Thank you.
Yeah, I was like, what can be like a cool gift to give you? Because I was like, then going through all these things that I could make, and I was like, I know. I mean, this makes sense.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I swear to God, like I'm not even playing. This
Then
is like
I had
this is
one
cool.
tiny lime this morning, and I was like, oh, like it's not gonna be enough. I don't have time to go to the store. I was like, what do I have that represents lime in any kind of way? Red yuzu kosho. So I was like, yuzu kosho tartar it is.
You ever watch? So I love the Food Network. I love that channel, right? So when you get like, I like the challenge like Beat Bobby Flay and the one where they do guys. It's called not Triple G. No, there's not Triple D. The other one where they have the cook-off. Yeah, Triple G. Guys,
in the
grocery
grocery
games.
store.
Yeah, and they're in there. That's what you sound like right now when they get to it. And that's what I think about too. I'm serious. Like,
yeah.
And yeah, we got to go. But that's some other neat stuff. Like I feel like I'm the guy. I like the Guy Fieri thing because he has his different shows like we do. He's one of the guys I look up to and read his bio to be like, how did he like diversify himself from this one show about chasing down diners to this other? But when they get to talking about it, and he follows people around and documents their story and he documents their, what they're doing, and then have them professional chefs on there. Like I'll veg it on Food Network all day. So you sound like it. Yeah, I feel like I'm in there. Anyway, all right, I'll let you go. Thank you so much. I hope you had a good time.
I did. Great time.
And Scotty will get this all up and running. Barry, get us out of here because I'm going to keep talking. I got to go.
One word, consistency. If we could take anything away from today, it's consistency. That's it.
She even knows that we close on the positive note. Consistency. That's it.
To learn more about Real Guppy Outdoors, please visit www.communitykevin.com. Brought to you by AftCo Fishing Apparel and Tackle, designed to perform. Channel Island Sport Fishing, offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats, and more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.